All right, I think we're live. Okay, we're live. Thanks so much for jumping in, guys. Those who are watching for at the live stream, after the live stream, rather. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ways to sell more online, and it should be really, really good. Jack, roll the intro. All right, we're back. Hey guys, I see that we have a couple who are live on Facebook right now. I don't know. Okay, good. Thanks. If you're jumping in live, please make sure to leave a comment. Let us know that you're here. It's the only way we can really see. Facebook's kind of weird, but for those who don't know, my name's Aaron.
And my name is Christian. Also, we want to welcome those people watching on YouTube. We're actually streaming live on YouTube as well. So if you're on Facebook and you want to jump onto YouTube and leave us some comments, I'll be monitoring those comments. So holla.
Yes, and I'll be monitoring everything over on Facebook, or doing my best anyway. It's just a little weird right now, but okay, now I got it. It's perfect. All right. Perfect. So we're going to talk about three ways to sell more online, and I want to encourage everybody to drop some comments below if you have anything that's specific to your business. We're going to, at least, no matter what, cover the 3 that we have here, but if you have something specific, feel free to leave a comment. I think we've also worked out any type of bugs that we have to where you could jump on live with us, and if that's more of your cup of tea to do something like that, you can do it. All right. So number 1 we have here is, and I guess let me preface this by saying that this is probably not the 3 ways to sell more online that you're thinking of, like better product descriptions or like better like service copy, or like, it's not that type of selling more online. It's like you have to be doing, but it's not like the tactic type things. It's more of the strategy that needs to be put in place. So I want to give a little bit of background for that. So number 1 is to have a cohesive content strategy. And this is something that I was talking about with Christian that I think is finally coming into place for us, which is we had content that was all over the place. And I look back at our Facebook and our Instagram, and we put out a ton of content. And I think Christian has said this from the beginning, like we put out a lot of content, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We've done that from the very beginning of the company. And I remember when we did our Blab shows, we used to do Blab live videos 5 days a week, and we would live stream for like 2 or 3 hours sometimes.
It was closer to an hour. There were times where people would jump in, and yeah, we would for sure definitely stay a little bit longer. Because just the platform allowed it to just be so easy and seamless for people to jump in real quick, say a few things, or stay there forever and talk to us, which is kind of cool. It was more of a conference call with strangers, I guess.
Mm-hmm. There isn't anything out there right now like that too, like Blab. And for those of you, probably nobody remembers Blab. There's a very small community, but I don't think there's anything else like that. But my point is that we used to create a bunch of content, and it never really had, like, the overall message was like, hey, you should market more, or hey, you should like use our services, or we're going to add value to you by doing tutorials, and we're going to talk about websites, we're going to talk about marketing, we're going to talk about these types of websites, we're going to talk about this type of marketing. And we were just like all over the place. It was scattered. And a lot of people were like, oh, you have a bunch of content. So I think it added validity to our company when we were very early on, because we were young. And so they're like, oh, they talk about a bunch of stuff, so they probably know what they're talking about. And they put out a bunch of content, so that's probably true. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a cohesive, like, focused message, which is probably a mistake. But I mean, we learned from it, and hopefully you're not learning from it. But that is that you should be selling to one group or one person. Looks like we have Susan Jones. Hey, Susan, thanks for jumping in live. And Frederic, hey, good to see you. It's probably a different time zone for you right now. I don't know. What time is it for you right now? But yeah, thank you guys for jumping in. Make sure to leave a comment. But I guess the whole point from this is that we offered a bunch of different services, and we've narrowed them down into a couple of services. I think the creative side is a little bit different, but the marketing side is, we're just literally going to focus on like one, maybe two products versus like a ton of different things. And when we can do that, we can have an easier, cohesive message, and it doesn't confuse people. And I think we should have seen the writing on the walls, and maybe you who are watching afterwards probably see this as well, which is, you tell people about your product and service all of the time, but they still don't get it, or they're still like trying to figure something out, and you feel like you've told them like hundreds of times, and they're still confused, and they still can't tell other people what you do. That's when you know your message is not necessarily like cohesive.
Yeah, so I think for us, for example, we have a plethora of different things that we could offer our clients, right? And towards the beginning, and to be honest, all up to last year, we just listed all these services and we talked about all these services. Like people knew that we had all these stuff, all these services, and that we offered all this stuff, and that we were experts on all of these things. So it's a pretty long list. Now, I think what we're trying to say here with one focus message is that some of those services that we offer, we could sort of package into like a program or a more solution-based service for our clients, so that we can, again, just focus on that one thing, right? So if you have a bunch of different services, then what we recommend is that you focus on one. Just pick one and just do content for that one service. And then the next two items that we're going to talk about here are the next two ways to sell more online. You'll kind of narrow it down a little bit more, right? So I think for this first one, I would say create content for this one service. Maybe it's your most profitable service, but just focus on that one thing. Like Aaron said, you don't want to confuse your audience, and it will make a little bit more sense once we talk about the next few ones. But the strategy here is, I think, 111, right? We have a
It's a slide in the webinar that's going to be out there, the free training.
Yeah. So also I want to preface, like, the way that we're saying sell more online, you might think that it's a, like, I'm selling candles, so we need to sell more candles online. I think that sell more is just, you could be selling your services. You could be selling a physical product. You could be selling anything. It's just a matter of using this strategy to just be more, I guess, productive on your online efforts.
Absolutely. And shout out to Matthew for the like. I think he's online right now. Still hasn't come on live with us, but we do appreciate him jumping on for each one. Maybe if he was a true fan, he would jump over to YouTube as well. But just wanted to call him out. I think that it's one other thing to point on to this number one before we move on is that when you do that, it makes things easier. Like, it just, you figure out what type of content you need to create because it's all focused around that one thing. Like, you can figure out all the benefits and the features and all the things that you can offer. And to your point, like the problem that was there, and then now the solution, you easily know what the solution is. But if you do a bunch of different types of marketing, like for example, if we were trying to sell a website, that's a different solution than a marketing service. Or like if you were going to do a website versus a new logo, again, that's a different solution. So you have to spread that. And now it's like our Facebook page says one thing, our Instagram page says another thing. Oh, and by the way, on YouTube, we're talking about something different. So when people go to all those different places, they don't have a cohesive message. And from what I've understood, it actually hurts your brand because there isn't any consistency with it. I also, just as a side note, I read this the other day. I don't know what you think, Christian, but like we have multiple pictures of ourselves on our website, and it's like our professional side and then like the fun side. That's actually good because somebody actually made a comment about it this week, one of our clients. But why it's also good is that they said that if you have the same profile picture everywhere, it's like good brand consistency, but it doesn't build loyalty as much as people seeing you on multiple platforms and seeing you in different like I don't know, venues or avenues or whatever it may be, because if they see you like Christian with a headshot over here, and then his Facebook page is like him and like Megan, and then he has something else on YouTube or whatever. Um, but if they see you like that, then they feel like they already quote unquote know you. And so it's more of like a trusting factor, like, oh, I've seen him at the beach before, so I know him. And oh, I've seen
Feels like
them.
you're a real person instead of like this bot that has like the same picture on all your platforms. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I think that goes along with the messaging part of things too. Is it's a little bit more so focused on being everywhere or being on those one places, but um, yeah, I just think it's the trust factor. So the cohesive message across all your platforms, which will quickly tell you to move on to number 2 here, which is to only pick one platform right now, um, and that it doesn't matter. So number 2 is to choose one thing and stick with it. And the reason for that is because if you try to do too much too soon, like if you're just starting out or if you're just moving to this new way, it can be overwhelming. I think that if it was just me, or if it was just Christian, or if it was just one person, single business owner, and they didn't have employees or they didn't have team members, trying to do this would be, I mean, you could spend your whole day just doing the content and running around like a chicken with its head cut off.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, I think what we're saying here, yeah, is just pick one platform. So again, number 1 was pick one message or one service, focus on that one thing that you're really good at. Number 2 would be to select that one platform. And I think it also goes into what that one message is going to be. So if you know that this one message is going to resonate better with your audience on Facebook, for example, then okay, Facebook is the way to go. If Instagram is the platform where your audience is most active and you know you're going to get the most bang for your buck, or maybe you're most comfortable on Instagram versus Facebook, go with Instagram. Literally, go with just the thing that makes more sense for your business, your audience, and your message. It doesn't like Aaron said, it doesn't really matter. They all work as long as you're putting in the time and effort, and as long as you're again focused on that one message. And then number 3, which is going to be focused on that audience, that one audience.
Yeah. Back to the platform, to Christian kind of touched on a little bit. If you know your audience is on Facebook, then sure, go there. But if you absolutely hate Facebook like it's a chore and you know you're not going to create the content for it, it's kind of a catch-22 of like, do you force yourself to do it because you know you should, or is most of your audience on Instagram and you're going to put in more effort and you're going to put out better stuff because you like it? I mean, more than likely you'd probably be better off going to Instagram because at least it's not a chore to you and you actually enjoy it. But it could be a podcast, it could be a blog, it doesn't matter. But you should be thinking about your topics and what kind of content your audience is going to need or want based off of your strategy. So the one message or your one offer, which is super crucial. Like if you have 15 different offers, now you have to figure out, if you chose more platforms, like 15 different offers, and then you have 3 different platforms. So now you have 45 different messages that are not um, you know, they're not the same. And you got to write text. All of you guys know with me right now that writing the text for a post, even for like this live stream, it's like it takes brain power. So if you have to do that 15 different times across multiple platforms, so I think this should be really 3 ways to sell more online without stressing out or without all the hassles too, because this allows you to really, I think, get back to the business side where you can enjoy what you do. And as a byproduct, you're going to sell a lot more. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just easier to buy something when you know exactly what it is. Like, I mean, Apple started with just their, Macintosh computer, and that was it. And then they expanded to products, but you knew what you were going to get. It's like, you're buying this computer. That's what we're selling to you. That's the only thing we have. And they started selling other stuff. But I mean, really, they just stuck with one thing, and now I think they're worth like $1 trillion. So obviously, they can sell more products. But for most of the people who are watching here, they're small business owners or solopreneurs or service-based companies, and so your focus is always going to be to try to offer more products, but really just focus, like what Christian said a little bit earlier, which was how can you bundle that to a solution if you're a service-based company, or offer less products.
Mm-hmm. And I think going back to what we were doing from the beginning, which is more of a, I guess, a Gary V strategy, which is content or value, right? And then you provide enough value that people are like, oh, okay, these people know what they're talking about. And then they have to actually go in and check out exactly what you do and the solutions that you offer. Because what you're talking about, all this value that you're given, doesn't necessarily tie to the solution that you provide. So that's what we're trying to connect here is the content, every piece of content that you put out should always sort of tie back to the solution that you provide.
Right. And even with this right now, like we created a program for ourselves, like Christian said, it's been about 10, 11 months, so that we didn't have to create all these services like Facebook ads and landing pages and funnel systems. Like we created one system to do all of it for ourselves, so that you could get more leads, so that you could build a landing page. You had strategy. Like we used to do that and sell it like piece by piece. And then everybody was like, no, I want this part and I want this part. And then because they said that, they never got the results. So we were doing a disservice to them. So they paid us, but they could have had better results, or the results were good, but they could have been great just because they could have had a package that literally gave them the result versus, all this fancy stuff of saying what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I would say for the service-based companies to do that. For the product-based companies, one of our clients, she has a lot of products, and then she used to get very little in stock. So it's like one item per size, which ended up almost hurting her, because she would wear an outfit and it's like, oh, I wanted 20 of those. And so she would sell out of it right away, because she only had one for that size. So let's just say there's 6 sizes, just to be, somewhat easy. She would sell out of those 6 sizes, but who knows how many she could have actually sold if she would have just tried to sell 5 or 6 different items for summer, or 10 different items for summer, and then had a lot of them in stock, versus, oh, we want to give you 50 different items and we got 1 or 2 in stock. And then people are like, oh, I wanted this product, but they're always out of stock. Or I go there and they're always out of stock. Or I go there and they're always out of stock. Like, then you start to think that, I think that actually almost hurts your brand even more, doing something like that. So it's, again, where it's more of the depth or the width more than it is the depth there.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few people on Facebook. If you guys are jumping in, I know there's a good group of people that's been fluctuating back and forth. So if you jump in live, please leave a comment. It's the only way I can see this. Oh, never mind. I can see more now. There's a different button. So Vic Nathan, thanks for jumping in. Megan Puckett, if you're driving still, make sure you're not doing Facebook while you're doing that. Dr. Z, good to see you, man. Nice to see you. We said, hey, Matthew, to Susan. Matthew, we already said hi. Frederic, I don't know if you're still there or not, but still wondering what time it is there. I know you're like a 6 or 10 hour difference, maybe. I don't know. But thank you guys for jumping in. I was on the wrong button, so it wasn't showing me everybody who is watching right now. So appreciate you guys jumping in. If you have a business, service-based company or a product-based company, and you're thinking about offering your services online, or at least generating the leads online, drop a question below. We're happy to answer it. Or like I said, you can come in live with us. We have it worked out to where we'll give you a Zoom link. You can jump in and we can all be face-to-face and get the question answered that way if you'd like to do it. How's the YouTube side? YouTube people don't really, I don't know if you get notified as easily on YouTube or not.
Oh man, YouTube is popping. We got 3 people.
Nice.
Yeah, the comments are going crazy. Well, I can barely keep up.
Okay, well, just try to list them off. We'll give you 5 minutes. Just kind of list them off, like, thank you. YouTube, you can't really see people who are live either, right? It's just
no. Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything.
Okay.
Unless they make a comment. If you comment, we're able to see who you are. But normally people on YouTube actually sometimes have a weird handle.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's like,
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's
John
true.
Stamos, 3142, something,
2121.
something weird.
Matthew says, I just tried to use the YouTube. I don't have a channel. Didn't work. Fail. Wow, Matthew. I guess what would be the word here? Boomer, or is that the right term? um, we're just kidding, Matthew. Sorry you don't have a YouTube channel. I think Christian may be able to help you figure out how to work that video company.
Oh, hey, we got someone commenting.
Cool.
Next, it says, you are in my recommended. Well done. Nearly 10,000 views. Awesome. So we were on someone's recommended.
Very nice.
So yeah, if you're just jumping in, we're talking about 3 ways to sell more online. We've talked about number 1, having a cohesive content strategy, focusing on that one message that you want to put out, focusing on that one service or that one item that you're trying to sell. Number 2 was pick one platform to go to market. It doesn't matter which one. It could be your most favorite one, the one you're more comfortable, the one that your audience is most active, or something that you want to explore more a little bit. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Go all in. But again, go back to that one message for one service, for one platform. And then number 3 is going to be talk to one group of people.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that thinks that my audience is everyone and anyone, then it's probably not going to work. This is going to be more effective if you're talking to a very specific person with a very specific problem. And that's what's going to resonate with that particular audience. And that's what's going to make people take action on that message that you're given, on that one platform that you're focusing. So those are the 3 things that you need to do. When it comes to the one group of people, I think that kind of jump back into the platform, right? Because if you're focusing on a group of people that are very active on this platform, or maybe that they're growing, let's say you're growing on TikTok, then go all in on TikTok. But again, take the other steps into consideration when going all in on one of these platforms.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned TikTok because I saw a guy today who he does like these wood, I don't know, like you stick it up on the wall. It's like kind of like the panel we have in our office, but it's like a wood American flag, and he like makes all the wood himself. He just does TikToks of him like time lapse and like creating them, and he's like, hey, thanks guys so much, just knocked out like 9 more orders from TikTok, and like people are watching his videos and like, oh, I want that, oh, I want that, or I want that. So it's like it really doesn't matter. TikTok could be your place to grow. Musicians, I found a few musicians on there who I know are selling on like Spotify now, and it's like, okay, you just never know where it's gonna work. So just pick one. But I think like to this point, to talk to one group of people, there's enough people online that you could sell to anybody. Now, if you're a local business owner, which is a lot of who we serve local business owners trying to generate leads in their local area. So like 5 to 10 mile radius. And if you're like, you're not bound by your brick and mortar location, you could be 25 to 30 miles or even farther. But even then, there's so many people out there. Unless you're in a town like where Christian and I went to college, it's 10 or 15,000. Most of the time you can sell a product or service and you have opportunity to be in front of thousands, if not millions of people. So you don't need to be focused on like, okay, I got to talk to everybody. I need to make sure that I'm in front of every single person, because honestly, it's like a waste of money. Because if I see an ad and they're telling me to go buy like women's, I don't know, bathing suit or something, I'm not going to go buy that. It's just an ad that they just paid to put in front of me. And it's like, nope, like keep scrolling. Or something that I don't care about. It's like, okay, well, lacrosse, nothing against lacrosse, but maybe I'd rather care about basketball, but they're showing me these ads about lacrosse. Again, I'm not that audience. So there's plenty of people in your tribe. So don't think that you don't have an opportunity to be in front of the right people. Also, shout out to Charlie. Charlie Croney just jumped in. Thanks for joining us live. If you're watching and you're finding some value out of this, there is an option I want to tell you. It tells you make sure to share this. You can share it to your own page. You can actually, I think there's an option there where you could uh, host this as quote unquote like a watch party on your own page. So if you have friends who are business owners, this may be valuable to them. You can host it that way. And if you guys have been watching our live videos for a while, I'm just looking at all these cool features. Make sure that you click that button or that bell that's over here on Facebook. I don't know about Christian's side. He may be able to speak to that more on YouTube, but for the Facebook side, you can click that bell and you'll get notification every time we go live, which we're always talking about how to help local business owners and service-based companies generate more leads online. So if that's of interest to you, make sure to hit that bell and you will be notified. It says see first every time we go live, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so all my YouTube people, all you have to do is hit that thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithm take this video and present it to a bunch of other people that might enjoy this type of content. And also right next to our name, you see BitBranding, and then you follow it, and right next to it, you'll see subscribe. You want to hit that subscribe, and right next to the subscribe, there's also a little bell icon, just like I guess Facebook, and you tap on it and you will get notified anytime that we go live or we submit a new video on YouTube. So be sure to do that. We highly, highly appreciate that. If you do that, it'll make us very happy, and it'll give us a little bit of candy money.
On the Facebook site, I'm sure it did on the YouTube side too. It came across on my screen to show exactly how to do the subscribe. So that was kind of cool. Shout out to the Jack on the back side here. All right. So I think that's it. Unless somebody has a question or comment below, then we will talk about that specifically. But just to recap for everybody who maybe jumping in now, I know that everybody jumps in at different times, and thank you for those who have watched all the way through. But to recap, 3 ways to sell more online. One of those is to create a cohesive. The first one is to create a cohesive content strategy. All your content should be focused on one message, and you should be the best at one thing. I stole this from Noah Kagan. He's a guy who runs a tech company down in Austin, but he's like, you should be number one at something. Like our company should be number one at something. Like we're the best at selling the Leads Accelerator. I don't know. Like that could be like we're number one at this, which everybody wants to be number one. So think about that. Number 2 is to pick one platform to market. And we're not prejudiced towards one place or biased towards one place. Like it could be SEO. You could do that. You could do a blog. You could do a podcast. You could do video on YouTube. We don't really care where it is. Just make sure your audience is there, or that you enjoy posting there. And then lastly, number 3, talk to one specific group. Like for you guys who are watching right now, we want to be talking to, or we hope that you guys are, and this message resonates with those local business owners who are trying to figure out how to sell more online or generate more sales online, generate more leads online. That's who this is for. And this is who it's going to impact the most. So that's why our message is focused on talking to one group or the one group of person.
You know, the analogy, I was just kind of thinking about this while you were saying this, is if you go fishing, right? If you think of any body of water, that would be the sea of platforms out there, right? That would be the Facebook, the TikToks, the SEO, the websites, right? That's any body of water. You think about the group of people, the type of fish that you want to get, right? If you're fishing for, I don't know, sharks, or if you're fishing for lobster, there's going to be different spots, right, in that sea of water that you need to be focusing on. And then on top of all that, then you also need your bait, right? That one message that you need to attract that very specific type of fish in that very specific type of spot or area. So I think that's a pretty good analogy, right?
Yeah,
of what we're trying to tell you here.
It's a good visual too. Like I feel like we could make a graphic of like the sea and all these different platforms, and just like that's one side, and that's the problem. There's too many people fishing over here. And if you overfish, then you lose out on the bigger fish that are out there. So it's like, here's the problem. And the solution is, hey, here's a pretty good sized pond or lake, and there's this kind of fish in there, and you're going to be over here by yourself and it's smiling. Like we should create that graphic. I feel like that's a good visual. Like if you're doing this over here, you need this.
that is.
Shout out to Deepa, by the way, for jumping in. Thanks for jumping in. Matthew says, I like a man with a good fishing analogies. Well, you're very welcome, Matthew. I'll let Christian know because he's on the YouTube side, but he appreciates it. He's shaking his head with appreciation. Yeah.
Also, if I guess the other thing here is we also need to let them know how to apply. We talked about the Leads Accelerator, but we haven't told them how to apply for the Leads Accelerator.
Right. Well,
which everything that we're talking about here is a component of the Leads Accelerator.
Yeah. And at the very least, it's more of I think the introductory part for the Lead Accelerator is to just really see if it's a good fit for you, but you get a 45-minute strategy session out of it. So we're going to talk about the 3 pillars that have to be in place in your business, which is the first ones that we were talking about today, like understanding your audience and the platforms and the messaging. And the second stage is the strategy and automation. So like, how are you going to go to market and what can you automate so you don't have to do manual processes over and over and over again? And the last thing is understanding like your numbers so that you can make actionable decisions. Because I think as business owners, we get caught up way too much into doing the day-to-day that we forget to track our numbers. We're like, oh, wait, we did this 6 months ago and it was amazing. Like, why didn't we just continue to do this? We're like, oh, shiny object syndrome. Let's go chase something new when, hey, this worked. Why don't we just do this double time? So that strategy session would be perfect for those business owners who are trying to navigate and try to figure out, okay, who do I target and how do I message, or like, what should I be saying in this? Or, I don't have a system in place. I don't have a CRM. I don't have, the things that I quote unquote need for my business to grow. And they're just trying to figure out, okay, how can I get clarity around this? That's what the 45-minute strategy session's for. And I can put it over in the comments for the Facebook side anyway. And you could probably do it for YouTube. And if we're going to repost this, which I assume that we will for the podcast, we'll put this in the show notes. But for those who are listening and aren't able to like comment because you're listening while you're not driving, but you're doing other things, you can go to apply.bitbranding.co, and maybe Jack will be able to pull it on the screen, but we'll also be able to leave it in a comment. So apply.bitbranding.co, and at the very least, just schedule a 45-minute strategy session so that you can figure out how to get a little bit more clarity in your business and at least which direction to head.
I just put it as a comment on YouTube. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if this live chat might disappear after the live is ended.
You may be able to. We've only used it like once or twice, but you could probably do it as a post on YouTube. I know that's kind of like, now that we have so many subscribers, they can do it. But
yeah, you can see it on the screen as well.
Perfect. Yeah, you can go there, and those who are watching afterwards for the podcast, those will be able to see it in the show notes. You can go play. There's obviously only so many spots available. Obviously, our calendar is not completely open, but there are definitely a couple of spots. Especially if you're trying to do it in the next couple of weeks, that 45-minute strategy session. I haven't been on a strategy session yet where somebody didn't say like, oh my gosh, like there's aha moments. So I think it'll be beneficial. All right. Oh, I see Rita. Rita, thank you so much for jumping on, and she gave us a like or a heart. I can't tell which. We'll just assume that it's a good one. So thanks for jumping in. And if you were jumping in live now, I saw it jump up a little bit more. We were just covering 3 ways to generate more sales online. But I would encourage you to go back and watch from the beginning because there's a lot of good stuff inside of here. And make sure that you listen to the whole thing. Okay. Weird. Went to a different screen. All right. I think that's all we got, unless you got any other cool fishing analogies, because I know that there was one commenter who really appreciated that.
I don't have any more fishing analogies.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for jumping on live with us. Those who are watching or listening on the podcast, thank you so much for listening. Make sure that if you're on Facebook, you go up and hit that bell so that you don't miss out on any of our live streams, so you'll be notified first. We're always talking about how to grow local businesses online, take them from offline to online. Make sure if you haven't already, no matter if you how you came across this, that you like our Facebook page as well. And then Christian will tell you what we need to do for YouTube. He's got different buttons.
It's the same stuff, really. You just hit that like on that video, and then you subscribe, and you hit that bell again, so you get notified.
Nice. Well, it looks like Miss Amor just subscribed. I got a notification. I don't know if they did that just because they found us on YouTube or because they were watching, but who knows? Thank you. And if you guys are watching or listening later on the podcast, make sure that you subscribe. We put out a new episode of the podcast every Monday, all about local businesses and generating leads online. And just another reminder for those who are trying to figure out clarity in their business, figure out exactly what type of message they need to put in front of their audience to generate more sales online. Go to apply.bitbranding.co for that free 45-minute strategy session. All right. See you guys.